Hey everyone, okay, so today we're going to be contouring with blusher, creating sharpness on the face. Now I'm going to be using my blusher palette in Desert Blossom, but I'm going to be mixing the two shades to create a beautiful shimmery peachy pink glow. Now, contouring with blusher was very popular in the 80s, but what we're going to do with this is kind of demi-contour. We're going to find the section to place it, but we're then going to push it up slightly so it is technically on the cheek, not in the hollow. And then we'll do a light bit of baking just to pop it out. So let's start. I'm just going to swirl the product around just to create some color. Now, when it comes to application, what you want to do is, and it's Charlotte Tilbury did it really well when she said follow the hollow. So what you want to do is just suck your cheeks in, and you want to look for the indentation. And what we want to do is then apply it just above it. So it does help to have your face sort of sucked in as you do it, and you kind of want to just look straight into a mirror and hit the high point, and don't worry about the straight line. We can blend the edges. Same thing on the other side. So it's just above it, and you're left with sharper lines. So we're just going to finish it off, tail it off. And what we want to do, and what I think, because what happens is in the mirror it looks one way, but then I get it into the editing suite and it can look another. So I'm going to just add a little bit more. So you're hitting just under that cheekbone, but only just, making sure it fades back into the hairline and then bringing it in this kind of angular motion. Lovely. So I just want to soften around the edges slightly, just a little bit. And that's such a pretty color, this blusher. It's so pretty. So what I'm going to do is just very lightly buff on the top of the blusher, just with a little bit of translucent powder, just on the top, and then just on the bottom, and then just tail it in, just to soften any edge, but just lightly. We want to be left with that kind of angular look. We definitely do. So what I think would be nice here is just to really emphasize that kind of hollow area. So we'll do a really nice bit of baking, but first I'm just going to go back in again and just reintroduce. One of the reasons makeup oftentimes doesn't stay is just a lack of application. Sometimes it can take 2 or 3 layers for something to stay on the skin. I'm just going to buff around. Now let's do a little bit of baking. So I'm going to use Huda, and I'm going to use her baking powder. And I'm going to place this just under that blusher. Same thing on this side. Oh, it's fragrant. So it's just kind of going to help cut in that kind of sharpness that we're looking for with this look. Now, with whatever's left on the brush, if you want to, you can just create, so it's almost touching it on this outside corner, but it just brings it together a touch more, but you don't have to do a huge amount of it. And we're going to do a double bake, so I'm going to knock this off, and it just sharpens up that area quite nicely. Sharpens it and just defines it. And then I'm just going to do another little bake with this product, and I love an angled blush. I really do. I think it's very, very nice. If any of you remember, because things get updated, but if any of you remember the very first launch that Charlotte Tilbury did, and when she had the 10 looks, and the model who was doing all 10 looks, she had this blush going on, this angled blush, and I just thought it looked really, really, really nice. I'm gonna add a little bit more powder than that. If you have an area of the face that isn't lined, feel free to bake away and add, because it's not going to do any damage whatsoever. Oh, that is fragrant, fragrant, fragrant. And then we'll just knock it off. Now I'm knocking it off into a beard, therefore creating issues with myself. But I'm assuming you don't have a beard. That's the assumption. It might be wrong, but it is my assumption. And it just creates a sharpness. It's the contrast between the color and the lightness of that powder. And then whatever's left on the brush, I'm just going to, and then buff around. And that, my friends, I just think the only problem I have with contouring, and remember, I mean, I pretty much got a lot of my followers from some of my contouring videos. The issue with contouring that I have when done over foundation is that you end up with a Neapolitan look. You've got the brown, you've got the color, you've got the highlight, and it's this Neapolitan look that I personally think is quite unnatural, and I'm not a massive fan of it. So that's why I prefer to kind of pick one or the other. Also with contouring, because you're creating sharper lines, it doesn't make any sense to contour a sharp line and then do a rounded blusher. I'm just going to take a fraction more of the highlighter shade now, and I'm just going to pop that just kindly onto the upper part here. Just a wee bit. There you go. A little bit of 80s throwback here, but I'm all right with that, you know. I was born in 78, so I'm all right with the 80s, I really am. But it just adds a sharpness to the face, and it looks particularly beautiful when you're doing any form of eye look that's pulled out, because then everything is coming up and out. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Bye-bye.